Hi guys, last week we looked at some of the things that you don't need to pay for when you have a blog or a website that you want to rank, and today I want to talk about some of the things that I pay for and some of the services and tools that I use on a weekly or monthly basis. The first thing is Zoic Premium. As you guys probably know, I use the Zoic ads on several of my sites. But something that's a little weird and most people don't really understand is why you need to pay for premium ads to get better ads on your site. The thing is that with Mediavine and AdThrive, you don't have to pay anything. You just get the money and they take a cut from that money before it's paid out to you. And to me that makes more sense, but for some reason Zoic wants to do it this way. They want to do it more transparently, that's what they say. And just a few numbers for all my sites that I use with the Zoic. When I am able to upgrade to a higher tier, a higher premium plan with my ads, I do that. And I have yet to see that it didn't pay me more out than I paid for it. So I would say it's always a good idea to do that. Though I will say I find it a little frustrating because with some of my bigger sites, it's kind of a lot of money that you pay to Zoic to get better ads on your site. So I need to monitor that on a monthly basis to make sure that I actually make more money than I pay them. And to be honest, I would prefer that they just kept a bigger cut of the cake before they paid me the money, but for some reason that's how it works. But I would say it's always worth it. I haven't seen a single case yet where it didn't make you more money than you pay for it. If you're new to Zoic, I have a lot of videos. Some of my most popular videos are about how to optimize with Zoic and how to make more money with this ad network. So there's a link to that here and in the description. The next thing I pay for every month is a VPN. And the VPN allows you to browse the internet like you were in another location. So you can go into this little window on your computer screen and select which country you want to browse the web from. So even though I'm based here in Denmark, I can browse the web like I was in New York, London, or Singapore, or wherever. At least you can do that with the better and the more premium VPNs. So there's a lot of free VPNs out there. I think some of the free ones are Windscribe and TunnelBear. And I've tested a bunch of those before I wanted to pay for it, because in the beginning I had smaller sites too and it didn't make too much sense for me to pay a lot for it like several years ago. But today I recommend you use ExpressVPN. It's the best and it's just the biggest player out there. It costs a little bit more, and if you don't want to pay the money you can also use Surfshark. They are very good as well. I wouldn't say they're as good as ExpressVPN, but they have a very good service as well, and you can definitely use it. So you'll typically do this logging on from another country if you want to do topic research. If you want to figure out what people are actually searching for in the States, and maybe you are in Nigeria or in Asia or in Europe like I am, then you need to route your traffic on the web through this VPN service to access the web from, for example, New York or whatever. So when you do that, you'll see what people are actually typing into Google, and you can do this people also ask topic research. You can type a lot of stuff into Google to see with Google autocomplete what people are actually searching for. Then I also pay for the VP Rocket plugin for some of my bigger sites that are using AdThrive ads. So when you're using AdThrive to serve ads on your site, it's just way easier to use VP Rocket than many of the other speed optimization plugins out there. So I reached out to AdThrive and asked them what was the best setup to get super fast speed, and they told me to use VP Rocket. So I went in and just switched on everything in the plugin to have as many little optimizations going on as possible. Then I broke a few things, so I went in back and switched a few of them off until it worked like perfectly. And I have a video exactly on how I did that. There's also a link to that here. I think I'm gonna link to a lot of videos in this video because this is sort of a roundup video about the tools that I use. The next thing I use is ClickUp. And that's a management software where I can put in all the articles that I need written for my site, and then I can assign them to spaces for each website. So every website will have its own little space in there with the articles, and then my writers can go in and find an article they feel like they can write. and my editor will grab it from there. So there's a whole workflow around that I go over in great detail in my course, but it's a management software for that. It's not that different from Trello or Asana or some of the other project management tools. Other than I find that it's very, very much tailored toward publishers. Yeah, I've said this before, but I feel like it's made by publishers. So that's another tool that I pay for every month. And I will say, if you're working with external writers and you have them write more than just a few articles on a weekly basis, you need to have a system like ClickUp. In the beginning, I was using Google Docs and Excel sheets, and it was just a huge mess because it was hard to keep track of and to go in and update and open all these files. So it's just so much easier with ClickUp because you can assign each writer an editor. And if you have somebody to find pictures or do fact checking or whatever you do in your specific workflow for your site, you could go in and assign that to a specific person. So each article or each task, if you will, can sort of shift hands and you can see exactly what happened. The next tool here on the list is Link Whisper. You probably saw me do a review of that. So Spencer Horst did this software. He has been building a lot of cool software for the publishing industry over the years, and I really like it. So it gives you recommendations on how to internal link your articles. So add links from one article to the other. So the thing is, when you write a new article, you might want to link to that from an older article. And of course you couldn't do that because this article wasn't written yet. So that's an ongoing task that you need to do for your sites. And the tool will help you see which article have no internal links. So it's what we call an orphan page. And it's just a great tool for that. It does cost some money and it doesn't really make sense unless you have a pretty big site. I would say as soon as you have like 100 articles and if you still keep adding a lot of content to the site, I would say it should pay for itself within a few weeks or a few months. And it will definitely save you a lot of time. So check out this video here where I have a huge uptick right after I inserted all these internal links. So that's some of the things we can do SEO wise that will really move the needle. And Google told us recently that internal links is actually something that has really high value and is something that you can do that's not gray hat or black hat or whatever people call it. It's not a shady SEO tactic. You can build the internal links between your articles like you wish. And it's a great way to show Google what each article is about and sort of pass some of that topical relevance and some of that link juice, if you will, around on your site as well. The next thing I pay for on a monthly basis is deposit photos. So those are stock images and it's a European company and it's very, very reasonable priced. I would say it's less than half price of some of the bigger competitors like Shutterstock and iStock Photos and Dreamstime and some of these big stock sites where you pay a lot of money per picture. So you can buy a whole bunch of credits, and I don't want to get more into this because you know that I'm using it and it's on the tools page. Then I'm also paying for Screaming Frog, and I think this is a software that I haven't talked about before here on the channel. I mostly used this analytical SEO tool when I was working with clients. But since I got very familiar with it, I still use it for my sites. And it's just great because it will scan your whole site kind of like Google does. So it will crawl your site from the front page and see if it can access everything. You'll see if something is not linked together properly. And then it will show you errors on the site and you can report on so many things. And that's also why I'm really not recommending it to beginners. You need a good deal of time to get familiar with this tool if you want to get into it. But you can report on stuff like broken internal links, broken external links. So if you have two articles pointing to each other and that link is not really working, or if you're linking to another website about something in the source section or whatever, and that link is broken, if it doesn't take people to that site, it will also show you a list of these errors. And you can also see if you have any missing canonical tags around the same kind of articles and a lot of different stuff. It will report on anything on your site. It's used by the huge SEO companies, and I've been using this to help SEO clients with millions of pages. I was working with a client a few years back, an e-commerce site selling books, and they had more than 1 million different titles, and then each book title would have its own page, and they had so many issues, and I was able to find and pinpoint these exact errors on the site using a software like this. So it's definitely more advanced, and I'll also go over how I use it for my bigger sites in my course, in the modules that I'm gonna add later this year about some more advanced techniques. But it's really cool, but it's not something you wanna just play around with for a few hours and then do some quick wins. It takes a good deal of time. So it's not doing any changes on your site. So there's not really any risk. It's not like it's going in and editing all your internal links or structures or stuff. It's not updated on your site or added like a plugin. It's a complete separate application that you download on your computer, and then you run a scan, kind of like what Google did, like I said, or Ahrefs. And then you can just do your own analysis in the tool, because it will pull in all the data that's available on your site. The next thing I pay for is online courses. So of course I have my own blogging course. I'm not the right person to tell you guys to purchase a course, but I've taken a lot of courses over the years, because if there's any trick in the book that I don't know about, I want to know about it first. So I have learned a lot from courses over the years, and to be honest, that's also why I decided to do my own course. Because, so two reasons. First, of course, I saw that there were some things that nobody taught people how to do, and I wanted to teach that. I felt like I had some new tricks, of course, otherwise it wouldn't make sense to build out a course, right? But also from building my own course, I learned a lot of stuff. Because when you start teaching stuff, you just get better at it. But I will say, if you haven't signed up for any course yet, I'm not gonna say that you should buy my course, of course. Ask other people about that. But get a blogging course if you haven't done so already, and get into a community there. So buy a course with a community attached to it, because that'll be so important. If you're just figuring out all this stuff on your own, there will be a lot of dead spots and things that you would regret later that you didn't do right from the start. I also have a paid subscription to Ahrefs. So it's a pretty advanced SEO tool. It's a keyword tool. That's what people call it, but it's actually so much more than that, because you can also find errors on your site, kind of like what you could do with the Screaming Frog tool. And I will say, if you are pretty new to this, you should not go with a Screaming Frog. You should probably not go with Ahrefs either if you're completely new to this, because you'll probably just get confused by all the reporting and all the numbers and all the stuff you can do. You really just need to focus on writing content if you haven't gotten your site to at least 30, 40, 50,000 page views per month. But if you're there and you want to check out what all the other sites in your niche, all the competitors are ranking for, and maybe you located a small site in your niche or a forum and you want to see what they rank for, so you can go in and beat that with a better article, then Ahrefs is a great choice. It's kind of similar to SEMrush, but I just like Ahrefs more. To me, it's easier to use. Maybe it's a bit more user-friendly, but to be honest, I haven't checked out SEMrush for the last 6 months or so. So maybe they updated it, I don't know. But I like Ahrefs, and there's also some advanced stuff you can do in there that makes sense for your site as it gets bigger. And that's also something that I'm talking about in the new modules for my course around more advanced tactics. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys